Hello gang, and welcome back. If you're tuning in for the first time, I am the Articulate Grunt. Welcome to my channel. I hope this 4th of July finds you in company that makes it a special holiday for you and that you enjoy the day to its fullest. Moving on from there though, let's get down to the information for today. See, since my last deployment in 2005-2006, where I was last in Iraq, I like to joke every now and then that I was a trendsetter. I was ahead of the times because 08, 09, I started seeing, everyone started getting and seeing briefings on getting to know the indigenous population, becoming accepted in among them, and seeing all sorts of books come out on the market about the same type thing. See, the thing is, before I deployed out, I went and spent time with an imam, a religious leader, at a mosque here in the U.S. I found one that was near where I was posted. It was about an hour and a half's drive, and I'd go down, and I'd spend part of my Saturdays, a couple times a month, getting to better understand the people, the religion, some of the context and mindsets, because I actually found a mosque that serviced a community that was mostly Iraqi refugees living in America. He actually gave me a copy of the Quran that I took with me, and I've still got today. But the thing was, I tried to understand the people I was dealing with. I figured if I knew them better, if I understood where they were coming from, what they thought of, it would be better for me and my troops. I'd be able to get more men home alive. Well, as part of that, Iraqi Independence Day is early October. I think it's around the 3rd or the 4th of October. I can't remember now. It's been like 8 years. But a couple weeks preceding that, I noticed that a large new shipment of food supplies had come in, and there was excess over what our dining facility could store, about a half semi-truckload. And as was common practice, I don't know why, I don't know why more commanders with more rank than me didn't do what I did, but all that excess stuff that had already been there a while, although it was shelf stable and had shelf lives good for another 2 or 3 years, was slated to go to the burn pit. So I got with the dining facility commander and asked, could I have the access? He thought I was a little nuts, but hey, it saves this guy some work. So he said, yeah, take it, it's yours. Now, paying attention to local opinions, dietary constraints, religious constraints, I didn't take anything with pork or anything that couldn't properly be eaten by the locals. Everything else I could, though, I snagged. I grabbed all 7 gun trucks I had available at the time, several trailers, and we made a couple trips over and took every bit of excess we could load up back to our barracks, back to our facilities, and stored it up. Because a couple weeks later, immediately preceding the Iraqi Independence Day, I had paid attention on my patrols. I knew what level the different villages and communities were at, some of the smaller settlements, some of the medium-sized ones. I didn't bother with the big towns, the cities that were in my area. Just the villages and the smaller towns, which were more hostile red zone areas in the first place. Well, we went through every one of them. As we went out on patrols, as we went through the sector, I had the back of every gun truck loaded up with excess food and supplies, that stuff I had grabbed. And as we drove through, we stopped and we got out and walked. Drivers and gunners stayed in the vehicle, excess personnel, dismounts basically, got out and walked. I stopped at every house and knocked on the gate, because almost every house has a little walled-in yard area. I knocked on every gate. If a man came out, I talked to him, mostly being my translator. I talked to him, wished him a happy holiday, asked if his family was doing okay, and didn't give. It wasn't a gift, a handout. It wasn't pity. While I was talking, I had it all split up, rationed out appropriately, so that each house would get an equal share. A couple of my troops were setting food supplies, shelf-stable drinks, like boxes of, City Box orange juice, on that little wall that protected the private yard. Wouldn't say a thing, wouldn't do a thing. I just talked to him, not say, here's something for your holiday and such. My guys just stacked it up. Then I wished every one of them a happy holiday, a happy Independence Day, as we moved down to the next house. If no man came out, it was obvious, it's the Middle East. The women were home, you'd see peeking past the curtains and such. I just have my guys pull out that supply for that house and reach over the wall and just set it on the ground on the inside. Just leave it there. Not a gift, not a handout, not pity, just it's excess. We don't need it. It's going to get burned. We left it there. We spent days, my guys were annoyed as snot that we did this, but we spent days going through every little village, hamlet, settlement, and town in our district, and we hit every one of them. The mosques, we actually dropped off about a four-time supply. What I'd give to one house, I dropped about 4 times that at the mosque, because the imam might know people I didn't. He might know where people were that had more need, had more kids than I realized, might need more, so we dropped off extra. Plus, it's the imam. He's the religious leader. You want to be on his good side. Now, my command, they laughed. They thought I was stupid. I was wasting my time. I was just a foolish first lieutenant. I was going to be a captain in a couple of months, but this was just foolish. It was a waste of time, waste of effort. The area had been a red zone, hostile. There were snipers. There were daily bombings. Shoot, there were guys trying to take me down several times. We got ambushed a couple of times. Mortar attacks, the whole 9 yards. It had been a red zone since the initial invasion. Since we initially went into Iraq. It had always been red. Period. End of story. I was wasting my time. I was just giving food to the enemy. But it was excess. It was going to get burned. If I thought it'd make a difference, shit. Go ahead, grunt. Waste your time. 3 days after the holiday passed, I was rolling down the road. Had 4 or 5 of my gun trucks with me. And open road, open country. One of the villages off to the side, maybe quarter, half mile away. And this flood of kids runs out across the road and blocks our path. Normally that means you're about to get hit. But we were in the open. Anybody taking a shot at us was going to be in the open and get return fire. The kids just smiled, waved, stood there, and blocked our way. I had the guys, okay, stay frosty, keep your eyes open. Something's up here. As this old man came hobbling out with his cane, came walking out from the village. I got out, met with him. He took and held my hand while he talked to me. And my translator translated everything. And apparently the local insurgent cell had set an IED, a roadside bomb, to hit us with a pressure plate, so it would hit the first vehicle that hit that pressure plate about a mile down the road. But if we take a left just to the other side of the village, he explained how we could go around it, and we'd be safe. This started happening in every village. There was one of the villages, I cannot remember the name of it, it's been too long, and I couldn't pronounce the name very well then. It set up on one of the hillsides. We would commonly get sniper fire out of there. It stopped. Others got hit. Iraqi army got hit. My guys never got hit again. From there, a couple weeks later, American patrols, supply convoys coming up the road, stopped getting hit. The whole area turned around. About a month later, it was declared a yellow zone. It wasn't actively hostile. It had been. It had been crazy. I had a section in my area, about a 2-mile long section of road, that had been labeled for years Suicide Alley. Because of the number of suicide bombers, roadside bombs. It was basically one of those, you drove down through there, you were taking your life in your hands and praying to God, because you were going to get hit. It stopped. We had gotten hit almost a daily basis rolling through there. Small arms fire, roadside bombs, basic stuff. It stopped. Others went rolling through there and didn't get hit. About a month after it went yellow, it was declared green because actually people coming out and meeting with us on the side of the road. Villages were actually coming forth and saying, is there any way you could help us? We could really use a new well, and it used to be we'd go to the government and get monetary assistance. I'd bump those up to command and we'd get the money for the wells. And suddenly, instead of the kids coming out and throwing rocks at the back of my gunners' heads as vehicles rolled past, the kids were standing out and waving. We got tipped off to a number of caches. We got tipped off. I found out who the major smugglers were, bringing arms and munitions into the area, and how they were doing it and getting around us. About 3 months later, the area was declared green and was one of the first zones considered in northern Iraq, in the area I was in, for being turned back over to the Iraqi army. Shortly thereafter, our FOB, Forward Operations Base, was closed down. It was minimized, taken down to minimum U.S. personnel, and then we did a handoff to an Iraqi battalion that took over the area, and we moved on, and it stayed a green zone. I'm not claiming it was all my doing. I'm not claiming it was just that one instance. But for me and my guys, going from hostilities multiple times a day In under a week, it was better. Within a month, we didn't get hit. It didn't happen. It used to be we'd patrol the markets, we'd walk the markets, and you watched to see if the streets suddenly cleared, because that meant there was an attack coming. We still watched. We were still careful. You'd be crazy not to be. But the markets were busier than ever. There were merchants showing us their wares rather than trying to hide away. So, that's the lesson and experience I want to share to you today on the 4th of July. Sometimes, what may seem stupid waste of an action can be the most basic level of understanding. All I did was provide some excess food that would have gotten burned. I handed it out to families so that on their Independence Day, they could have a good meal, or they could store it away and ration it. So that stuff still had 3, 4, 5 years of shelf life to it. It was going to go to the burn pit. That was a waste. I made use of it instead. And it was seen, understood, and appreciated. And I like to think we were seen different from that point on. I hope this video found you well. I hope it opens your mind a bit and makes you think about some things in your life and things you see in the world. How could things be a little different through simple actions, just a little bit of work? With that, one of my old calls. If you don't like what's going on in your community, get up, get out, and fix it. Because if you don't, you got no right to complain if somebody else does it wrong or does it in a way you don't like. Leave your thoughts and comments down below. Hit the like or dislike. Subscribe if you haven't already, and tweet this to your friends so maybe they'll get a little extra thought in their life and a little extra cheer and happiness. A little change in the way they perceive things. Take care. Hope this finds you well. I am the Articulate Grunt. Out from here. Bye.